Good evening and welcome to tonight's conversation of embracing diversity, where we will be looking at the topic of the changing evolution of gender. We will be having both our regular panelists and guest panelists who are joining us this evening. And tonight's conversation is hosted and moderated by Reverend Vicki L. Hughes. Thank you for joining and make sure you share.
Good evening. Welcome to our newly named ongoing online diversity initiative called Embracing Diversity. I'm Reverend Vicki Hughes, and we were formerly named Diversity Matters. Now we are Embracing Diversity. You've heard us talk extensively about race relations, police brutality, and social justice, as well as other issues in previous weeks. And so tonight we're going in a different direction a little bit. We're going to discuss the changing evolution of gender to include gender roles and gender identification. Tonight you're going to learn about gender roles and what are they, who defines them, and you'll also learn what constitutes distinctions in gender identification. I have several panelists and guest panelists on here with me tonight. Some of us are heterosexual and some are from the LGBTQ community. Regarding the LGBTQ community, it is actually often a misunderstood community, and hopefully tonight we can clear up some of the myths or misperceptions. If you would, please share this Facebook Live on your pages right now. And as we are live for the next hour and a half, please type comments and questions to us as we dialogue. My event specialist will let me know when there are questions or comments, or field them to the right individuals who you're asking the questions of. Please, viewers, let us know where you're from in the comments. If you have any LGBTQ experiences, or if you identify with anyone, please let them know. Type a short comment. Again, please share this Facebook Live on your pages. I am someone who is approaching age 57, and I can say that when I was growing up, girls were teased for being tomboyish and boys were looked at funny when they played with dolls and did other things that were associated with girls and femininity. There were these clear-cut characteristics of who girls were and who boys were supposed to be. But back then, parents, teachers, and ministers would have tried hard to keep a child's mind on who they were born to be, or should I say, who the adults thought their kids should be, either a girl or a boy. And back when I was growing up, there was no such acronym as LGBTQ. So tonight, I really wanted to do this segment, have this online dialogue to really understand gender, gender role, gender identification, and just really get to know the LGBTQ community. I would love for viewers to, really get educated on some things, and I would like for the LGBTQ community to be empowered tonight. I wanted to mention one thing quickly. My mother, who I sometimes joke and call her my personal assistant, I had her watch a show for me last night. It was on for an hour. I was at work. So the show apparently is called What Would You Do? And I found out apparently it comes on every week. It's on from 9 to 10 p.m. on Tuesdays on ABC. So she told me about 4 scenarios, and I just quickly want to mention 2 of them. I guess apparently people sit at a table and talk about some issues, and then people sitting at other tables get up and give their comments. So the first scenario I wanted to mention, this has to do with gender, is that a girl was wanting to play baseball. So her father was at this table talking about it, and he didn't want her to do that because baseball was associated with as a male sport. And so the people who came up and talked to this father told him that girls can do anything, and they encouraged him to support his daughter in their interests. So all of us need to do that, whether we have girls or boys, if we support them in whatever they choose to do. The second example was, there was a male sitting at a table, and he announced to his friends that he was bisexual. And my mother told me that during that segment, the friends were saying, we don't believe that you're bisexual. That's impossible. You're really gay. And apparently they were saying this because they thought it was, I guess, easier in their minds. He was gay, and they thought he was using it, saying, oh, I'm bisexual, as an excuse, as a way to not to say, oh no, I'm not gay, I like both. But he really was a bisexual male. So the lesson that they talked about on TV last night on this show was to be supportive. You don't have to understand the person's lifestyle, but be supportive of that person. And also to the people who came up to the table, told the man who was bisexual, be true to yourself. So those are the two examples I want to give. So, concepts about and definitions of gender have evolved. And tonight we're going to address gender, like I said, its roles and its identifications. I want everybody on here to identify, to introduce yourselves. If you would take a couple minutes to introduce yourselves, tell us where you're from. If you would give your birth gender, if you identify as a heterosexual or a member of the LGBTQ community, how do you identify yourselves? And I guess I can call each person's name according to how I see you all on the screen. And if you would do that, again, take a couple minutes. And also for those in the LGBTQ community, you can start talking to us about how you came out, and then we're going to talk about some of your challenges also. So let's see, if I could start with Quinn, and also just 1 second, Quinn, if for viewers, all of us have on our profiles, we have identified ourselves with the three words, either like she, her, hers, he, him, his. I believe everybody has done that tonight. So again, we're all going to introduce ourselves. And for me, she, her, hers, and I am from the Midwest, and I am a heterosexual female. At birth, I was a female, a girl. So Quinn, you can go next.
Hello, everyone. I'm really thankful to be on this panel again tonight. I was born a female. I identify as female, and I am heterosexual. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm sorry. Chanel, you can go next.
Oh, okay. So hi, I'm Chanel Mercedes-Benz. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I identify as anything respectable. So like a lot of people can consider that non-binary, or however they would like to consider it. I was assigned male at birth, and still present to what most of society would consider, presenting as male every day. But I'm also a drag queen.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Chanel. Okay, Jasmine.
My name is Jasmine Newton, and like Chanel, I'm also from Chicago. Hey, fam.
Hey, Chicago.
I now reside in Knoxville, Tennessee, and born female, identify as female, and I also identify as a bisexual woman. I'm monogamous and married to my husband. So that's always been a difficult conversation for people to understand for me.
Okay. Okay, let's see, who is next? Let's see, Reverend Patrick Jones.
I am Reverend Patrick Jones, serving in rural Chatham County, North Carolina. I'm originally from Chapel Hill, North Carolina, heterosexual male from birth.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Jesse.
Oh, good evening. So I am Jesse Viviano White. I was assigned female at birth. I guess my pronouns are king, sir, he, him, and his. I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And as far as sexuality is concerned, it's nobody's business unless I'm laying down with you. So I'm currently in a relationship with a heterosexual female, but I love all people.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Bennett.
Good evening. My name is Bennett. I was assigned male at birth. I am a male. I am a gay man. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. I have been referred to by both male and female pronouns, but that depends on the situation. Because of my work with some drag queens, and I've done pageants and designed for drag. So sometimes, I am she and sometimes I am he, but I present as a male. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, Stephanie.
Evening, everyone. Before I introduce myself, I have to say, Chanel, you are gorgeous. You're welcome. So I am Stephanie Davis. I am, let's see, so I work full-time as a school counselor. I'm also a licensed clinical mental health counselor. So I see clients in the evenings and the weekends. I do serve individuals who identify in the LGBTQ community. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I identify as a heterosexual female. And yeah, I'm glad to be here and a part of this panel.
Okay, thank you. Oh, let's see. And last but not least, Ashley.
Hey guys, my name is Ashley and I am originally from New Jersey. I currently reside in Charlotte, North Carolina. I was born a female and I currently identify as a female. On the LGBTQI+ spectrum, I am pansexual. So that is who I am. I love hearts, not parts.
Okay. Okay, did I get everybody? I think so. Okay. Okay, so you all viewers have heard everybody's introduction.
You're on mute.
Well, I was on mute, sorry. Okay, so you all have heard everybody's introductions, viewers, and some of our, our panelists and guest panelists, some of them have met for the first time tonight. So again, please share this Facebook Live, this live stream video on your pages, viewers and panelists, guest panelists. So now that I'm off mute, okay, so you've heard introductions. Let me just define a few things. And then I'm going to have everybody talk about their experiences, and some are going to be painful and some will, some will talk about their joys in being who they are. So, okay, let's talk gender. Gender role is defined as a social role encompassing a range of behaviors, attitudes that are acceptable for a person based on biological or perceived sex. And the gender role influences clothing, professions, and relationships. And then gender identification means a personal sense of one's own gender. It reflects gender expression, and it can correlate with a person's assigned sex at birth or can differ from it. And some of the classifications are male, female, transgender, gender neutral, non-binary, binary. Another way to talk about gender identity is an internal experience and the naming of our gender. So, why are there so many ways to describe a person's gender? It's confusing. So let's talk about this. Okay, so gender binary is the traditional category of, what society has known for decades, centuries, millenniums as female and male. So let's talk about the non-binary. Anybody want to share an experience of their, just discovering who they were and their coming out experience with anyone? I mean, with us? Does anybody want to share an experience? The non-binary people, anybody who's not heterosexual?
Well, I'll share. So recently,
Okay.
throughout quarantine, kind of, just being in the house and being shielded away because of circumstances such as COVID, being shielded away from everybody else. I started to feel more comfortable in experimenting with gender. So like starting, there is he's a model and like talk show host named Jeffrey Boyer Chapman, who started to, challenge gender norms. He was a Black guy, like wearing makeup and then just like really just like enjoying who he was. And through quarantine, he really inspired me and also made me come to the realization that I'm not technically connected to either gender. I am not connected to the female gender. And do I like go out in public and like, drag is my job, but in my everyday life, I am not like this and I'm not attempting to present as female. But in my everyday life, I realized like I'd oftentimes get like mistaken for a woman, though I'm wearing all male clothes. And I started to realize like, I'm not a macho guy, like, what I'm saying? There aren't like really anything, or there isn't many things within like, what you consider to like be like masculine about me or anything of that nature. But also at the same time, I am not an extremely like what somebody would consider feminine person. And then I just started to realize like I really don't connect, serve, or attempt to align myself with any of these gender norms or any of these gender binaries, and realized that I am a person who is non-binary and prefers to like make my own rules on how like my gender is perceived. And so it really, like I said, happened because of quarantine, and it mainly also happened because I wasn't out in public as often, dealing with people. So it was kind of my choice to like decide who I was and not deciding who I was based off of how people viewed me.
Okay. Does anybody have a response to what Chanel just said? Anybody want to comment or
Jesse, you want to go
add to
ahead?
it?
I do. Chanel, that's beautiful. And first, I want to acknowledge and congratulate you for embracing yourself and being gentle with yourself, and tuning in enough to have that journey with yourself during quarantine, right? Like quarantine has been difficult for everybody, but a host of different reasons. And some of us don't know how to be by ourselves or know how to connect with ourselves, especially in the queer community, especially in the Black queer community. So that is huge. So I just want to congratulate you. I think that's absolutely beautiful that you are taking that journey and learning yourself, right? And in that, you've just helped me realize that I have come full circle, right? I was assigned female at birth, not really acknowledging that I was female at birth. I felt more like my male counterparts, but I grew up in a private school and around a lot of males and didn't know that I was different until high school. And my mom is an elected official, so I waited until I was well into my 20s to transition because somebody else chose to tell my mom that I liked females and told her that I was a lesbian. So out of respect for her and the history that she's making in the state of Wisconsin, I decided to wait until my 20s to come out as male because I felt more masculine, right? At one point in my life, I was 193 pounds at my heaviest, and I was a weightlifter. I weigh 93 pounds right now because I had a transplant surgery, which removed 7 organs from my body last August. Howsoever, during all of this, from my grade school and younger years not knowing or acknowledging that I was assigned female at birth until now, where if folks ask me, I'm a grown man, howsoever, it's none of your business. I'm an individual, I am a human, I am here. Acknowledge me and respect me. Gender norms are out the window. Men cook, wash, and clean just like women do. Women work just like men do. We need to focus on equality, and we need to focus on bridging the gender gap, and instead of focusing on some sort of gender norm. There is none. However you are, you are. If you are comfortable and you are happy, you are safe, you are well, then you're here. You've got another chance to get it right with your creator and with the folks that you share space with.
Jesse, I want to ask you something. You had to basically hide who you truly were for several years. So I'm sure that was extremely painful for you and confusing and everything. Do you want to talk about that? I would love for you to give some advice to, if any, younger people are watching tonight, or parents of younger people who are, confused and trying to figure out who they are. Do you have any advice for them? I'm asking you to talk to people who have not come out yet.
Yes. The first thing I would say, and it's something that I say all the time, if you follow me on social media, you will often see that I say, be gentle with yourself and kind to somebody else. And that is a reminder to myself. And it's difficult, right? Like I'm ordained. I'm for the people, I'm not of the people, but it's difficult to be gentle with yourself in all aspects, because when you think about being gentle with yourself, oftentimes you think about those who you care about and you love. And when you think about those people, you think about your actions and how they will respond. But if you want to have your feet 6 feet above the ground and not 6 feet under, you have got to think about yourself. Because by the time that I made the decision to transition, that's where I was. It was, I'm not going to be here, or I've got to make the sacrifice. And the sacrifice that I made, I thank my creator for helping me get through it and giving me the language and the knowledge to do it. But I wish that I would have done it sooner, because there was a point when I did it that the folks that I care about didn't know how to respond, because they had been told something different because I didn't do it soon enough. And so they said, don't even come to my funeral. And that's difficult language to hear from folks that have brought you into this world.
Right.
So my encouragement or my advice would be to be gentle with yourself and find somebody, anybody that you can start that conversation with. Because Reverend Hughes, I'm sure that you can attest to this, but anytime you give a message, sure, you've preached sermons, the same ones multiple times, and every time it is a different scripture, it's a different message, but it has the same sentiment. And so you've
Correct.
got to get comfortable with that language. You have to get comfortable with yourself first. And that's where I would start. Had I found myself in the mirror, I couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Had I found myself in the mirror and started that conversation and found somebody else to have that dialogue with, coming out to my family maybe still would have been difficult, because you can't hold expectations over other folks and their responses, but you can hold yourself accountable and kind of prepare yourself, or at least be in a position to love yourself enough or be comfortable enough in who you are to receive anything that comes back this way from whomever. And I did not prepare myself in that situation. And so that's what I would say. Get in the mirror first. Second of all, find somebody, anybody that you can trust, whether it is somebody of faith, a friend, a sibling, a family member, a mentor, if it's not your parents, and start having those conversations and continue on until you get to the place where you can have those difficult conversations with folks that you think will perhaps not respond in the manner in which you think they will.
Okay, thank you. And you're 35, I believe, right? Correct?
I am 35, and my mother and I have 34 years between us, and so that was a part of our disconnect, as well as I was born and raised in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and she was born and raised in Indianola, Mississippi, number 8 out of 11, to parents who were sharecroppers picking cotton.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and tell me which denomination you are, and then I'll move on to somebody else. Which you're ordained in which denomination?
I am officially ordained in the Kojic denomination. Howsoever, I now minister in a more Unitarian manner.
Okay. Thank you, Jesse. Okay. I want to hear from one of the young people, like 20 something. Let's see, Ashley, do you want to tell us, how old you were when you came out? How did you discover who you were?
Oh,
You're
wow.
unmuted. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
If you wouldn't mind sharing with us.
Yeah, I'm currently 30 years old. And when I came out, I was 21. Like officially, I was 21. And yeah, it was pretty difficult to come out, but not really, because when I came out, I did not live with my parents, so that was easier for me. And when I came out, my cousin, who was openly a gay male, he was living with my parents at the time, and he just made me feel so comfortable being who I was, or who I felt like I was. And I expressed to him, hey, I think that I'm gay. At that time, I didn't know anything else but gay, lesbian, I didn't know, bisexual, pansexual, which I identify as now, I did not know of. I just was like, I'm gay, So, and I want to tell my parents about it. And he's like, girl, go ahead and tell your parents. And I'm like, but I'm scared. I don't know how they're going to accept me, or if they even will. So I finally told my stepmom first. I went in her room and I sat on the bed and I told her, and she said, girl, I knew already. And I was like, what? You knew? So that was super exciting for me. Like, okay, you knew, this was easy. Whew. Then it came to me telling my dad, who's this super big, burly, macho man. And I'm like, Dad, I took him out to dinner, to warm him up or whatever. And I said, Dad, I just wanted to let you know that, I'm gay. And he said, I knew. And he continued to eat his food or whatever. And that's all he said. But it didn't become real to my father until I brought my ex-wife. She's currently my ex-wife, until I brought my ex-wife around. And then it became real to him, and he stopped talking to me for 3 months. And that
Oh,
was the longest 3 months of my entire life. I hated it. My grandmother, which is my father's mother, said that she'd rather me be with a man that beat me than with a woman. So it was horrible to hear. I had friends that stopped talking to me. A friend that I loved dearly, she stopped talking to me because she said, she wouldn't be able to relate to me. And I still think about her to this day, because that's how close our friendship was until she found out, that this is who I identify as. This is what I feel most comfortable, how I feel most comfortable living my life. So it's come with some pain and some joy. I got a baby out of my marriage, and she's beautiful. We had my daughter through in vitro fertilization. Well, actually, IUI. I did an IUI, intrauterine insemination. And we have a beautiful daughter. And that's where I am now.
okay. Thank you for sharing. Let me see. I want to talk to, let's see, who can I pick on next? Let's see. I haven't talked to, okay, let me talk to Quinn. Okay, I'm going to shift gears for 1 second as we're sharing. Okay, so Quinn, I want you, as a heterosexual female, tell me what you think a female human being, what makes that person a female human being, a girl or a woman? Which characteristics do you think define that person as a female?
Wow, that's a tough question. I mean, I guess it depends on what angle you're coming from. Like when we did our introductions, we identified what we were declared as birth based on, what we came with as a baby. So, in that case, it's biological, but it doesn't end there. I mean, as you begin to grow up and introspectively discover who you are, what you have on the outside and what's on the inside doesn't always match. And I think more and more now people, I mean, I guess this is sort of maybe an incorrect statement, but I feel like there are more opportunities now than there were decades in the past to feel confident enough to share that with the world or with others. And I know that that's not always the case by any means. But there's definitely more of an awareness about that mismatch now. That is a possibility. And I think that, I don't know, have I answered your question?
Oh, sure. That's fine. That's fine. I was just I want to try to involve the, heterosexual individuals on this video, as well as the LGBTQ community. So I was, kind of interjecting some things there. Okay, let me ask Reverend Patrick Jones. I'll ask you the other part of this. When you think of a male human being, which behaviors, mannerisms are you expecting to see from a male? What do you think defines a man?
Again, that's another very difficult one to tackle. I don't like identifying people by role I just, in my nature, identify people as people, and don't want to go out there putting people into categories, because that's not what I'm called to do. So for me, it is how you identify yourself and how you portray yourself. And there's no set rule as to what that is. And a lot of it depends on context as to where you are and how society around you is projecting what they think it should be upon you. And I don't necessarily agree with that. So again, I would just say it's how you identify yourself and what makes you you, male or female.
Okay. Okay. I'm just calling on different people, trying to involve everybody in the conversation, and I might throw out some things to try to ruffle some feathers. So let's see. Let's see who else hasn't told their story. Let's see. Okay, and Stephanie, I'm going to ask you a question in a second. I'm going to have Bennett tell his story of coming out because he was very young. And everybody, Stephanie is a school counselor. And so I've asked her to join us tonight to just talk about how conversations she has with youth who are trying to discover who they are and, get them prepared to come out, or, whatever the conversation entails and what the students are coming to her to talk about. So I'll have Bennett share a little about his story, and then Stephanie, if you want to respond and just talk about your experiences with the LGBTQ community in your school. Bennett?
Sure. So yes, I was very young. I was 13 years old when I came out. I came out 2 days before Valentine's Day in 2006. I remember it was in part out of frustration. I kind of felt like I felt awkward most of my middle school career. I didn't grow at the same rate as other guys. I didn't have facial hair. My voice was still squeaky. I was kind of, awkward, and it was about the age that everybody was starting to couple up, and people were going to dances together and being asked out. And I remember everybody kept asking, who's going to be your Valentine? Who are you going to ask to the dance? Who are you going to do? And I threw my books down and I was like, I'm not asking anybody because I'm gay. And, I went to a small private school that my mother taught at as well. So I knew that I wasn't necessarily ready to have the conversation yet. But, there had been some things happening at home that would have led them to know that it was coming. But I knew I wasn't ready yet to have the conversation. And the way that my parents ended up finding out about my sexuality was there was an altercation in the locker room. I played basketball, and someone used a gay slur in reference to me, and I put them inside of the locker and shut the door because I just wasn't going to deal with that disrespect. And the gym teacher, sat us down and pulled us apart, and that was the end of it, at least I thought. And the gym teacher went and talked with the school counselor, and the school counselor went to my mother's classroom in between her teaching periods and said to her, your son is gay, rather than me being able to have a conversation with my parents. That I don't know that I would have said anything at 13. I probably would have waited a little bit longer. But it was a very raw, very emotional way for me to come out, mainly because I didn't have control over the situation, which I would have liked to have been. I would have liked to have been in control of the situation. It made for a bit of a struggle in the early years of talking about what I wanted and what was going on for me. I didn't really date in high school. I kind of there was a guy here and there who I was interested in, but it was a difficult road to travel. It wasn't really until I went to college and I started to form what we call our chosen family, where I started to really become comfortable in my sexuality, not as the only one in the school, not as like the only gay guy or the only black gay or, whatever, but in a sense that I had a place to belong and people who absolutely. Did you
Are you
get
there,
that?
Bennett?
Yeah, it froze on me. I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
Oh, 1 second.
Can you hear me? Nobody?
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, all right. I was just saying that, Gina, the coming out as young as I did was, some people will say, oh, it was really brave of you to do. Oh, that was, an amazing feat. And it had nothing to do with bravery. It had nothing to do with me trying to set a tone or be a trendsetter or, anything like that. It's just who I am. It's just who I was. And I just wanted to be open about that and stop having to hide behind whatever very thin veil I was hiding behind at the time. So I'm all in all, I'm grateful that I did it when I did do it. Uh-oh, can anybody hear me? Okay, all right. I can't hear Vicky anymore.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No,
Somehow
it's
I got
okay.
muted. Okay, thank you for sharing that, Bennett. I was asking Stephanie, can you tell us? You're muted. Unmute yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to say that as a school counselor and also as a clinical counselor, my job really is to create a safe space. That is what I do. So it's not my job to judge anyone. It's not my job to tell or advise someone. My job is simply to share that space, to create a safe space for someone to share their feelings, for someone to explore who they are. So when I am with my students or even with my clients, that's the goal. So my work right now, I do have several clients who identify as transgender. And so really, sometimes you have two different spectrums, especially with youth. So I have a client that I'm thinking about whose parents are completely supportive. They're working on getting his name changed. They've made the appointment to see a cosmetic surgeon, things like that. So they're 100% in. They're very supportive. And then I have another client that I'm thinking about whose parents are like, now, Stephanie, we don't think this is real. And we think that, your time with this client is going to change things. And I have to, again, to be non-judgmental. And of course, we don't take sides. So I'm not going to tell a parent, you're right and the client's wrong, and vice versa. As a counselor, I go with what my client is saying. So there's been times it's really kind of odd where I'm with my client and I know my client's preferred name. And so I will call him by his preferred name during a family therapy session. And the mom and dads will look at me like, ugh. But I'm here to support the client. So for me as a counselor, I feel like it's a very humbling experience to share that space with someone because I don't identify as lesbian or gay or bisexual or transgender, queer, but I've been invited into that world. So I will say, like, when I sat with my client, my transgender client, and he had picked out his name, and he wanted to tell his parents, and we were all in the room. And when he finished sharing his story, we're all in tears, like we're all crying. But again, like I said, it's a very humbling experience. I believe in people being their authentic selves. So however you identify is how you choose to identify. And so again, my job is really to create that space for you to be authentic and to be who you are. Then yeah, I guess, that's kind of what I do.
Okay, thank you. Thank you
You're
for that.
welcome.
And I'm sorry, tell us again, how old is your client who is transgender now? Is he in middle school, high school?
So I have one in middle school. I have one in high school. I've
Okay.
also worked with clients in elementary. I actually just participated in a PFLAG meeting yesterday evening, and the parents were talking about, their child identifies as transgender and how hard it is to get just those supports in place at school. And some schools are very embracing. And then there's other schools that try to use technical terms and legal terms to fight, no, you can't change your name can't be changed in the system, things like that. Where another school is like, hey, if your name is Tom and that's who you want to be, that's who you are. So that's kind of where I am too as a school counselor and as a therapist. I feel like I serve as, just an advocate. I'm someone who was going to fight to make sure that my clients, have the support that they need at school and at home. We do gender support plans for our transgender clients. So, it's really about just being supportive. I might not understand it, but my job is to learn, and my job is to, just kind of be a sponge and try to get information and understand, someone else's point of view. So, that's what we do as counselors and as therapists.
Okay. So I'm thinking of a young transgender person, male or female. Let's say someone's in 7th grade. How do you prepare the other students on whatever the transgender individual's going through? How do their peers support them? How does that work?
Right. Well, it really, again, the individual drives that. So sometimes there's individuals who are not ready to, like have a preferred name and be called by that preferred name, or they know who they are, but they may not be ready to present themselves as male or as female. So some of that, the student or the client will drive those decisions. Again, I think as far as how other students respond is really, as the adults, if we create that safe space to open up that conversation and to open up that dialogue, then the transition is it's not going to be easy. It's fairly easy, like it becomes more of a natural process. My client that is now in high school, we did the gender support plan, and he started off the very first day of school as following his preferred name, his preferred pronouns. The teachers were aware of it. The students are aware of it, and he is happy. And
he's not getting teased by other students, and they understand what's going on with him and everything.
Right. I think for the most part, the environment, the majority of the environment is supportive. I mean, we can't control how other people react. And right. I mean, we're all going to get picked on for whatever reason at some point in time. But then again, as a counselor, my job is to make sure that my client is strong enough emotionally to handle those types of situations. I want my client to be able to say to that other person, this, what you're doing is disrespectful, however whatever words they choose, but I want them to be able to feel strong enough to defend themselves. And they also need to know, who do I go to? If I'm having an issue with another student, who's my support system in the school? Which person do I go to make sure that things are taken care of?
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think, Jesse, did you have a response to something?
Yes. So
Okay.
I completely agree with everything that Stephanie spoke to. But I believe your original question was, how do you prepare the classroom, right, to respond to somebody's transition or to a change that's happening in the classroom? Because a lot of changes happen, right?
Correct.
People's parents get divorced, people's siblings get separated, things
True.
happen. Things happen in the classroom, right? The goldfish may disappear, right? So things happen, and so the way that everything that Stephanie said was extremely accurate as far as respecting where that young person or that person's transition is. But sometimes, as a person who has transitioned, I can say we don't always know where we are, right? Some days I don't know. I just know that it's difficult to get out the bed as a Black man, and some days I forget that I'm trans until somebody misgenders me. Some days I forget a lot of things until something happens. So how do we prepare the other folks that are present in that atmosphere so that we can create a better world? I would say starts with respect. Right? Let's look at Chanel's pronouns, for example. Anything respectable. We just have to respect one another as human beings and meet people where they are and learn how to do that. If we can do that, we can do anything. Nothing else, then nothing is difficult. Then we don't have to, it's not a big deal if I respect you and Chanel tells me tomorrow when she's dancing to call her she, then that's it. And then if Chanel says they the next day, then it's that. No questions, no comments, no concerns. We move forward, we move on. Respect is respect, but we have to meet people where they are. And I think that we need to set an example as older individuals and learn from not only our traumas, but our mistakes, right? Acknowledge them and move forward. And so that we can set an example for the young people to just be respectful and acknowledgeable of human life and human breath.
Right. And I was going to add too, I just kind of thought about something that we've done at our school when we're talking about creating that safe environment. Another thing that we have done is we have provided professional development for our teachers. And I think the one thing that's it didn't surprise me until I think 2020, I guess. Like, I guess you kind of just assume that as teachers, we are all loving and we're all kind and we all respectful. No, that is not the case. So there are adults teaching our children who are confused and they don't have the education right now in this area. So my co-counselor and I, we went to a training ourselves. And then we came back to our school and we presented the information. And again, part of that conversation is you may not understand it. You may not even agree with it, but guess what? Just like Jesse said, we have to be respectful of each other. We have to love on each other and take care of each other. Who you choose to be in love with is none of my business, right? But it's my job to educate you, and it's my job to teach you those coping skills and all that stuff that goes along with being a school counselor. And that's what matters. So yeah, I think creating that whole, the community, the idea of being accepted, and it's okay to be different, but to be inclusive starts with the adults. And then if we model that as adults in the classroom, then the students, it should be easy for them to be respectful of each other because I'm being respectful to you.
That makes sense. Okay, Quinn has a comment. And I'm gonna ask
To
couple other-
add, sorry.
Go ahead.
To add to what Stephanie just said so beautifully, you can feel it when you walk in a classroom. If there's a teacher who has built from day one that foundation of we are here to respect each other. I am here to respect you as students, and you are here to respect each other. You can feel it. And that goes with little kids and that goes with big kids. That if kids know that they can be themselves and that they can share those parts of themselves that they wouldn't feel confident sharing otherwise, you know it. Even as an outsider walking in, you can feel it. And so I think having those compassionate teachers is such a big key in helping kids to find who they are and build that confidence to share with the world.
I think that's very true. And also, like, Stephanie, when you were discussing that, I like thought back to like my like high school years and my elementary school years. And like, you know, of course, students are going to be a problem due to the fact that they're like adolescents and like children, and, you know, teasing and things of that nature, you know, are kind of like come with the territory. But I'm so glad that y'all are getting y'all teachers, you know, training on how to correctly handle those things. Because when I think of it, a lot of like my most embarrassing moments in school were from teachers specifically who then set the tone that the students followed. It wasn't immediately the students, but it would be the teachers setting a tone of like maybe making a joke about how feminine I was, or you know, making a joke about, or even, you know, implying that I was a homosexual when I was, you know, 8th grade, freshman, sophomore, that and that's what, you know, got the students going. So I think it is very important to realize that the adults set the tone for the kids, and that goes for the teachers as well as the parents as well.
Okay, I'm trying to, let's see. Thank you, Chanel, for sharing. Jasmine?
Of course.
Yes,
You-
ma'am.
Okay, I want to talk to you and then Ashley. You know, you identify with as a bisexual female, and she is saying that she's pansexual, and I really would love to understand the difference. So can you talk more about your bisexual experience and just when you discovered you were bisexual? Just share more with us, whatever you'd like to share.
So for me, I was the tomboy in school. I was a tomboy that everybody thought was a little too boyish and wore all the clothes. I basically looked like I was a part of the Wu-Tang Clan every time I went to school. So I dealt with, I was a kid that always hung out with all the guys. People thought I was doing things with those guys when they really were just my friends. And I didn't really mesh well with girls because I wasn't into girly things. The things that the girls liked, the things that the girls like to wear, I just wasn't into. I just wasn't feeling it. I have 6 brothers, and I have 2 sisters. As far as my home life, I was really only raised around one of my brothers, but you know, I very much knew my 6 brothers. When it comes to how I've always felt, I've always felt more masculine than feminine, but I've never considered myself a man. I've never considered myself to be a lesbian or anything like that. I was very much into guys. I just didn't like to wear skirts and hang out with girls, and I was just more comfortable with guys. When it came to me coming into adulthood, early adulthood, that's when I got my first experience with a woman, and it kind of scared me. I was confused a lot. because it was one of those things where it was just like, okay, so all of those things, all that teasing that they did at school, so it turns out that, okay, maybe they were true, maybe they were right about me. So there was the scary thing. And then of course, when I tried to come out to my mom about it, she pretty much threw some holy water on me and prayed over me, which was a whole other experience. She apologized later. She realized that probably wasn't the best thing to do, but she did what she knew how to do. Okay, so I don't hold that against her. We are very close still, but it was definitely, it's an experience getting some holy water thrown on you and somebody speaking in tongues over you. You just kind of feel like they're saying that you're dangerous and they need to exercise you or something. It's weird. So anyway, for me, I've always just I struggled with that because I didn't like who I was, because I thought who I was inherently wrong. I grew up in the church as well. So I grew up hearing that it's not good to be gay or bisexual or whatever may have you. And so I struggled with liking myself. I struggled wondering what's wrong with me, what went wrong, what did I do wrong, why can't I stop feeling the way I feel. And the person who actually really became, when you were speaking earlier about Jesse, you were saying find that person that you can go to, that you can open up to. That person was my husband. This was before he became my husband. He was my boyfriend and eventually fiance at this time. But when we started our relationship, he could tell that I didn't like myself. And I would ask him, do you think I'm bisexual? And he'd be like, oh yeah, you're definitely bisexual. Like, no question about it. And I would almost feel ashamed. And he would just go, don't feel ashamed. That's who you are. There's nothing wrong with that. You have to learn how to love you. God loves you. I love you. I don't understand why it matters, where you're at. And so it was really my husband that helped me start to see not only being accepting of me, but also being accepting of who I am and whatever that may mean, whether it's being bisexual, whether it's me having my hair cut, whether it's me wanting to be a photographer, no matter what it was, he gave me the space to be like, okay, go do you. That's your space. You're safe to do that with me. And it doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you're being you. You're existing. So he's the first person that I felt really gave me the really positive and non-judgmental space to do that. And so the other thing that I think that was difficult for me as far as bisexuality is concerned is the constant confusion when someone kind of gets wind of it. Because it's not like I just walk around talking about it all the time. When someone kind of figures it out, they're like, wait a minute, but you're married to a man. And I go, uh-huh. Okay, what's your point? And so that means you're straight. No, it doesn't mean I'm straight. I'm very much bisexual, and then they don't understand because I'm married. They for some reason, people think that bisexuality means that you always have to have both. So when I say, yes, I'm bisexual, they're like, so where's your girlfriend? Like, I don't have like some female in my back pocket on the side hiding, it just simply means I can be attracted to male or female. But I'm a monogamous person who happened to fall in love with a man, and that's who I'm married to. But if I wasn't married and all of a sudden was, single on the market again, I could be attracted to male or female. Doesn't matter. So that's always a fun thing to sit there and try to explain. But other than that, other than the holy water incident and the confusion with my marriage, I guess it's because I really don't offer that information up a lot. I really don't have a huge issue with people being mean to me outside of what I already dealt with in high school and with my mom and everything. My grandmother, that was an experience as well, told me that I basically, that comes from a demonic presence, and that was a lot. So
Wow.
other than that, I have to say that most of it most of the love that I have for myself now started with my husband, and I'm so grateful that I found him.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Me too. It sounds like he's was an and still is an awesome person to be in your corner. So I'm glad you found him as well. What I was gonna mention, when my mother was watching that show last night, Jasmine, she I don't know who announced this, but she told me that someone said on there that there are more bisexuals than gay people. Have you heard that? I don't know what the actual statistic was, but she heard that on there.
I wouldn't know, but it wouldn't surprise me. I really don't know. I guess my brain, when I hear that, goes, does it really matter? Like, are we sitting here thinking to ourselves, you know, how many people like women, how many people like men, how many people like, does it really matter? Can we just be okay with it just being what it is? Like Jesse was saying earlier, you know, sometimes I forget I'm trans until somebody does something dumb and reminds me of it. The fact that can you imagine how beautiful and relaxing it could be to forget that you're trans, to not have to sit there and think about it all the time? It's just like, you know, we've had conversations on this panel about race. Mm-hmm. Black people walk around and they're constantly being reminded that they're Black, constantly mm-hmm. having to go through that. Gay people, bisexual people, trans people, lesbian, we constantly, oh, you're a lesbian. Oh, you're a bisexual. Oh, by the way, you're trans. You used to be a girl, now you're a man. By the way, just in case you hadn't realized it, just in case you woke up and wanted to feel normal today, now we wanted to it's like, we know, we get it. Why is it a big deal? Why do we have to have this? It's so many bisexual. Why? Why? Can we just be? Can we just live? I am what I am. I love who I love. And as long as I'm coming to this world and finding the gifts that God gave me when he brought me to this world and figuring out what it is he wanted me to do with those gifts in the time that I am here and I am going through that journey of doing that, why does it freaking matter? I am who I am, and love me while I'm here in this era, in this time, in this being, in this soul. Period. I think you're muted, Vicky.
Okay, I don't know why I keep getting muted, but I was saying I hear you, Jasmine. I hear you, sister. All of y'all, you know, I truly believe that people are supposed to be true to themselves, and you know, I'm a firm believer in people being who they are. So, you know,
it's just like when we talk about, you know, whether Jesus is this or that. Is he Black or is he white? Is he this? Did he look like this? It's like, I believe that Jesus, if Jesus came back, they could come back at any form they want. Jesus would come back as a tree if they wanted to. And does it really matter? So our souls, what is the word? Being fluid. Mm-hmm. I inherently believe a person's soul can be as fluid as the Creator wants it to be. I could die in this lifetime and come back in another lifetime if reincarnation exists or whatever, and be a beetle, a flower. Maybe who I am now says something about the story before I was in this life as Jasmine Newton. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just going too far. I'm getting too deep. Okay.
No, well, I was gonna say, you know, I was just looking as you were talking about a fluid person or just a fluid thing. I was just looking at I'd written out some definitions. So I see a gender fluid person, according to this website, PlannedParenthood.org, feels that this gender fluid person feels male on some days and female on other days. And it says that person may also feel male and female on certain days, or neither male or female nor female on others. And the person may also identify as genderqueer, and then it says gender non-conforming. That's what is listed as a gender fluid person. So, you know, I just wanted to add that there. Okay, is let's see. Ashley, you're still on, right? Oh, can you unmute yourself? Ashley? Okay. Okay, so, you know, Jasmine talked about the bisexual aspect and other things, being fluid and some other things. Do you want to add anything about pansexual? Because to me, it seems the same. If you said earlier that you fall in love with whoever you fall in love with, and that, she can fall in love with a man or woman. What's the difference?
Yeah, so first, Jasmine, I mean, your story is beautiful, and I'm so happy.
You sound kind of muffled. I think.
Can you hear me?
I think you're kind of muffled or something. Let's see.
Can you hear me?
Okay, now we can hear you clearly, I think. Okay.
Okay, so Jasmine, I was saying, can you hear me?
No, it's still kind of fuzzy.
I don't know.
Now you sound clear.
I'm good now.
I
It's
think
a little
so.
staticky, but I think as long as you sit still, you should be okay.
Okay. Okay.
I can't talk without moving. Can you hear me?
Somewhat.
I'm so colorful. I have to move. I don't know. Hold on, let me see. Does this work? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
We can hear you. It's just somewhat fuzzy or static or something.
I think she should go ahead, though. I think we hear her enough.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Shine, girl, shine.
I'm sorry, guys, for the audio.
Okay, go ahead. Go
I'm
ahead.
sorry for the audio. But Jasmine, I was saying that I think that your story is beautiful, and I'm so happy that you got the man of your dreams. Can you hear me, girl? I'm sorry. Okay, so for me, pansexual, you know how they say, like, God is love and love is for everyone. Love is for everyone in my book, so for me, bisexual is where, you can either date a male or a female. For me, if you're looking at it, if you want to break it down completely, I can date a female or marry a female. I can date a man or marry a man that was born a man, or I can date a transgender male, or I can date a transgender female. That's what pansexual is for me. I can fall in love literally with anyone. If you're good to me, I'll be good to you. I like hearts, not parts. That's my motto. That's how I live my life.
Okay, so it sounds like you're I don't want to use the word broader, but I don't know. I think I heard a distinction with bisexual and because let's see, Jasmine.
Yeah.
Okay, so bisexual. You either would have a heterosexual male or heterosexual woman, right? Or bisexual.
I don't think it really matters what. I think for me, it's more kind of like, I don't think it matters if they're gay or lesbian. Like, I could fall in love with a woman who is a lesbian and still be bisexual myself. I don't think it's the sexuality. I think it's, for me, is bisexuality usually is defined as, like, they're either male or female, and usually it's a biological male or female is how I've always understood it. So if someone is trans, then I guess people believe that bisexuality is defined as if that you're attracted to men or women, but it doesn't mean trans men or women. I've never understood that. Listen, if you look good to me, you look good to me. If you are good to me and a good person to me, then that's great. As long as we mesh well, I guess I am pansexual. Does that mean I'm pan? I don't know. Does it matter? All I'm saying is
a little bit of self-discovery right now.
I guess for me, I don't like, see, this is why I don't like labels. Cause then I'll be like, okay, so what is it? What's the definition? Say I hate that. I don't like labels. And that's a big reason why I really don't come out and just be like, yes, I'm bisexual. It's just, that's the word that was given to me when I realized there was something different going on other than being straight. But for me, I care less as long as we're in love and we kicking it and we're good and you ain't beating on me or nothing like that.
Just mind your business.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
To me, it kind of sounds like bisexuality is for people who like the binary, like, so like male or female is important to them.
That's what it seems, yeah.
Yeah, like, and so I mean, you know, people who like really find the binary important, where it's like, I will either have sex with a biological male or a biological female, that would be a person that I would consider bisexual. I would consider a person to be pansexual if they were open to people who were non-binary, if they were open to trans individuals, and if they were also open to cis individuals. And then there's also a whole other group of people who are like agender. And I would consider a pansexual to be somebody who is open to all of those sectors. And I would consider a bisexual person to be somebody who is specifically just like, I will be with a man or a woman. And it's kind of like, you know, it's the same way with gender. You have trans individuals who prefer to go with the binary and be like, okay, I am going to be a male, or I identify as a male, and okay, as I identify as female. And then you have trans individuals who don't, you know, pay attention to the binary and choose to be non-binary. So I think if you mix that back to like, you know, just like who you like to sleep with, it would be, if you are open, you would be pansexual, which is kind of like non-binary, and you know, bisexual is just like bisexual. I don't know.
I feel like
this is like I was gonna say, this is like math class. Like, this is just too much.
It really is, and that's why I'm always like, it like, does, my whole thing is like, does it even matter?
Right. That's what I was saying. Cause like when you ask me, okay, are you attracted to this or this or this? What my brain goes is like, okay, back in high school, I would have told you I'm only with men. I only like men, right? Because that was my understanding, right? But of course, as I got older and I experienced something new, now it's like it's broadened, it's opened up. But I'm aware of myself to know, and I'm open enough to know that I'm not gonna shut down. I mean, I'm married now, so I'm kind of shut down, you know, like I ain't getting nobody else. But let's say I was single, I'm not going to shut down the possibility of my forever with someone because of what they identify with. It's all about the connection at the end of the day. So am I gonna connect with somebody like Jesse and be like, oh no, because Jesse was I can't. It's just, wait a minute. If we have a connection, we have a connection. So I can't say, okay, I'm only attracted to male and female. I'm connected with whoever God has for me, whatever that soul is. That's what it is.
So this is where, excuse me, I'm sorry, Queen, were you finished?
Yeah, I was done. I'm sorry.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't want to speak over you. So this is where I was going back to, just people pay too much attention to labels and terms. Let folks be folks. But we don't, it doesn't matter if you are attracted to somebody and you want to have relations with them in whatever capacity that looks like, that is safe for both of you and agreed upon for both of you, then go for it. I identify as demisexual, which just means that I need to have a connection with you, an emotional connection with you, before I have a sexual connection with you. So, but labels don't matter, which is why I like, when I introduced myself, I didn't speak on that But that's beyond being pansexual, because I, just like Ashley said, hearts, not parts. I can say hearts, not parts. That is inclusive in demisexual. However, I've only had relations with folks with certain types of parts, or that identified in a certain way. So women, which includes all women, all women, but it does not exclude the relationships that I've had intimately here with folks that may have had other parts that I don't know about. We get hung up so much on that as humans for unnecessary reasons. We ask folks questions. People ask me more about my genitals than they do about anything else, and I have no intentions of laying with them, and they have no intentions of laying with me. Why is it important? Why is it important? Who you sleep with, who you like, and who you love. If you're attracted to somebody, shoot your shot. They either gonna say yes or they gonna say no. And it has nothing to do with parts, right? Like they either gonna say yes or they gonna say no. If they say yes, and you get to the point where it's important to talk about parts because you laying down and you feel like they may have a different understanding of your biology, have that conversation.
I start to wonder this. I start to wonder if the labels are there not so much because we want them there. I wonder if the labels are there because there's people who want to have this category. I can't speak right now. They want to categorize the same way, in the same way that they wanted to categorize race.
It's about money.
I was going to say exactly that. It is about money, like, you know, boy clothes, girl clothes.
Insurance.
I can sell the same razor to you and then put men on it and put in a black label and get extra money off of that. I do think it was the, like, you know, the powers that be, which, you know, typically when we discuss things like that, I do think it was like a European norm in a way to make money, in a way that they saw it, you know, a viable way to make money. I can sell boy toys, I can sell girl toys, I can sell boy clothes, I can sell girl clothes. I can sell men's shaving cream and women's shaving cream. I think especially now that we've realized, like, most of the things that are put in place are literally for money. You know what I'm saying?
I completely agree. My car insurance, for example, when I changed my gender on my car insurance, is $200 more a month now than it was prior. I am the same person, driving the same vehicle, with the same behaviors.
Yeah.
$200 a month times 12. You can do the math. But yeah, and same thing. I could break it down from surgeries that were included and that are no longer included, procedures and services that I need from different providers that has changed. So I think that at least from a medical perspective, it's about money. But as humans, I think that we need to push the issue that it's there may be reasons that it's important to know, but not the way that we are presenting it now. And I think that we need to be a little kinder to one another and a little more graceful. There are a whole lot of other things that we could be asking. If you have the time, the space, and the capacity to be in the presence of somebody else, especially in the midst of this pandemic and unemployment and homelessness, which I am experiencing all of them right now at this moment. I think that if you are able to be in the presence of somebody and have face-to-face, eye-to-eye contact, that you should be intentional with your words and be a little more graceful and find something with purpose to say. And if you have a question, it should be, what does support look like for you in this moment right now?
Those are awesome points.
Yeah, I like
Um,
that. That's all about, sometimes it's really about saying to someone instead of questioning, but really saying, what do you need and how can I help?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that, Jesse.
Yes.
I think we definitely have to work on shifting the mindset though. Because think about a pregnant woman. What's the big thing now? The gender reveal. It's either blue or it's pink. And what kind of gifts is that baby going to get?
Or they light California on fire.
Everything is blue or everything is pink. And that's already, by the time that baby is born, they're already getting locked in. And I think that's wrong.
It also pushes forward misogyny, in my opinion. When you typically think about it, a cake is is he into tractors or is she into shoes? Mm-hmm. And it's the things that I typically see connected with males are things that can be a job or occupation, and the things that they consider females to be interested in are just materialistic, which then pushes forward the negative connotation that women can't be in the workplace and things of that nature. A woman can only decide on what color shoes she's going to wear, what color nail polish she's going to wear, instead of realizing that women can participate in these big business sort of things. It's is he into ties or bows? Bows are just considered a materialistic, pretty thing, and a tie is considered with business. And I don't think people realize how deep those gender reveals really nail in these ignorant misogynistic standards, or pushes forward misogyny.
I've had things with my son that even I have had to check myself on and go, okay, Jasmine, you're supposed to be open about stuff like this. Because you're right, it is a very deep-rooted thing that has almost been just really bred into us. So for example, there are two big things I can think of. One was when my son was he was a toddler, he watched Doc McStuffins a lot, cartoon. And so we went to Chicago to visit some family, visit my brother. He had a girl, and my niece, she wasn't there. So my son is bored, he's a toddler. He sees her Doc McStuffins bag, which is a doctor's bag, and it's a pink bag. And he starts to play with it. My brother rushes over. Oh, no, you're not supposed to play with that. That's a girl's toy. And I was just he doesn't know whether it's a girl's toy or it's a boy's toy. He just sees a doctor's bag from Doc McStuffins. And you took that and decided to go, okay, that's for girls, instead of thinking that maybe he might be interested in being a doctor. You just made it a sexual issue, and it's not that. And the second thing, this is where I had to check myself on. My son's 9 now. He plays Fortnite. I realized I'm noticing that a lot of times when he's playing Fortnite, he's playing as a girl.
I have a little brother who also plays Fortnite. He's 8 years old, and me and him play. I'm in Chicago, he's in Ohio. He's always a girl character. And I realized the game just chooses who you are. When the game starts, and this whole time I'm sitting up thinking my brother is having a mental war with his gender. But realistically, the game, when you start it, you can be a male in one round, you can be a female or a banana or a superhero. And I literally realized I've been putting all this pressure on this 8-year-old little boy to come to terms with his gender because of this game. And he's not even choosing the character.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I asked him, I said, why are you playing a girl? I was thinking the same thing. And my son is looking at me like, because I want to, and they have better outfits. And I'm like, but is there something that you're feeling? Like, I'm really trying to get, and he's just like, Mom, I literally just like fashion. Like, can you quit it? Like,
Yeah. I was so concerned for my brother because I thought that like I'm so blessed to have like a very accepting mother and like a very accepting family. But I was like so concerned that my brother was like, you know, starting to transition, and I was like, will he have the support that he needs? And I'm like literally keeping myself up at night about this 234 miles away just to recently find out that the game just like chooses what character you're going to play like when you log in. It's just like I wasted so much time.
But at least you were ready. You were getting yourself ready to be supportive.
I was ready for absolutely no reason. You know what I'm saying? I was just ready for, you know, absolutely nothing. And you know, thank God I was ready, but it's also, it made me question like, you know, like, why don't I trust my family to be able to handle this? My family handled me being gay and doing drag completely fine. And like also like made me question like, why was this such a big deal to me? It like really opened up, you know, doors to my thoughts because like, you know, I had put all of this pressure on an 8-year-old boy playing a video game.
Vicky, I think you're muted again.
Okay. Thank you all so much for sharing all your comments and just being transparent and everything. It's about 10:15. Does anybody have any closing comments or anything? We started a little late, so that's why I allowed us to go a little late. You know, we're dialoguing with each other, so it was getting great. It was getting good. So I allowed it to continue, but we can't go on all night. So does anybody have any closing things they want to say? Or
I just want to say, at the end of the day, I really think it's really just about being who you are, and whoever that is, that's just who you are at the depths of your soul. And it really, like, these labels, all of these labels that we put on ourselves, that just really feel like baggage at the end of the day. And you gotta love yourself enough to be okay with letting go of the baggage and being who you are, because at the end of the day, this journey that we walk on this earth, we're the ones that got to walk in those shoes, and we're the ones who got to look at ourselves in the mirror every day and be okay. And when we put the weight of the world and their expectations of what they think we should be, we cloud what our purpose is.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Ashley? Or
I was just gonna say my takeaway is to be open with like otherizing yourself. You don't have to be A or B. You can be in between. And that is completely okay. And otherizing yourself can open you up to so many other things that you didn't think that you would enjoy otherwise, even if that's like, you know, for some people, like breaking the norm and watching a TV show they wouldn't watch, or like even like wearing clothes that they wouldn't wear. I think it's very important to otherize yourself.
Oh, wow. I like what you said. You said authorize yourself?
No, otherize. So just
otherize.
Yeah, so it like one thing that I've realized like going through a journey with like my gender is just like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not boy or girl. I'm just like, you know, just kind of like other, no matter how much I look like a boy in drag or out of drag, or no matter how much I look like a woman in drag, I really prefer to just like really be neither.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Ashley, do you have anything to say?
What I have to say is, my name is Ashley, and my how I identify is a very, very small part of who I am. And I love you all. I had a great time with you guys tonight.
Okay. Okay.
Back to you, Quinn.
Okay, let's see. Oh, Bennett.
Yes. Yes, I think that when it comes down to it, it's really just about freedom. It's just about being able to, I have a conversation often with a really good friend of mine where, there's finding who you are, and there's a process that you go through to do that. And then there's creating, once you find who you are, there's that provides the foundation. And then you're able to build off of that and create the life that you want, or the life that you need in order to be the best version of yourself. So I think, for young people, just to sit with themselves and be introspective and listen to what is being said to them, into like what their internal dialogue is, and then build from that. Really just take the time to shut out the other voices and say, this is who I am. And I remember both of my grandmothers said to me, without knowing it, without knowing that one had said it to me previously, they both quoted Shakespeare and said, "To thine own self be true." So that's all I can give. To thine own self be true at this point.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, I have 3 more people. Okay, Quinn.
I just
closing
want to
comment?
say that after this panel discussion tonight, I have 2 overwhelming feelings. I'm honored and I'm humbled to have been a part of this group and a part of this conversation. And I thank you all for this amazing discussion.
Thank you. Jesse?
So ultimately, be gentle with yourself and kind to somebody else. Eat your green leafy vegetables, mind the business that pays you, and be authentic with yourself. Be loyal to yourself. The rest will fall into place. Each and every one of us, what I've learned, like since transitioning, is that I was so focused on trying to be a man that I missed being my best self.
Wow.
Once I started being acknowledged in that aspect and looked at myself in that regard, because I still get misgendered to this day, and I've been on this journey for 11 years. Once I recognized myself in that way, I was able to be loyal to myself and walk in the capacity that I want to walk. So if you're like Chanel and you're non-binary, get up every day and just be you. If you like me and you trans, get up every day and just be you. If you like Reverend Hughes and you're cis, get up every day and be you. And be gentle and kind with yourself and be kind to somebody else. I mean, it's that simple. We focus on the wrong things as humans, and it's unfortunate, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. But it starts here. It starts here.
It was
I love you all.
a great for me.
Absolutely. Who's talking? Jasmine?
I said it was the eat leafy greens for me. I love that part.
Oh, okay. Oh, I know, right? Yeah, I need to eat more of those. Okay, I think everybody has said closing comments except for Stephanie, right? I just want to make sure everybody else has gone. Okay, let's see. Reverend Jones he sent me a message. He's had bad internet connection, so he hasn't been able to get back on. So Stephanie, you're last before I close it out.
Yeah, well, I will keep it short and sweet because I think so much that has already been said has truly been amazing and heartfelt. So I would agree with Quinn first. I do appreciate the opportunity to be here and to share this space. I love the energy in this room. So I am going to say that everyone here is absolutely amazing and has so many great words to say. So I will say that love is love. Do your thing. Love who you want to love. Surround yourself with other people who love you back, and just continue to create this positive energy that we have going. And I just appreciate being here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, everybody, I want to thank all of my guests, panelists, and my panelists. And, thank you all so much for everything that you've said. You all have really poured your hearts out tonight, and I appreciate it. Your honesty, your transparency, and everything. I love you all, and just thank you for sharing. To our viewers, if you haven't already, please share this video on your Facebook pages. We want people to hear this. Again, people have poured their hearts out and told you who they are, who they want to be. They just want to be themselves. They want you to know, get to know them for what's in their hearts and for their true selves. So, please share this. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Sorry that we've gone a little over. I apologize for that, but we did start a little late. So hopefully you've watched this until the end. Share on your pages. And also, I just want to encourage you all to, if you know anyone from the LGBTQ community, embrace them and get to know them so that you find out who they really are, instead of passing judgments and just assuming that this person is this way or this person likes these people. Let's just really be open to getting to know people from the LGBTQ community. And, again, thank you for watching. Please let people know, about this video. Share it on your pages. Thank you. Good night.